Scaling a business is all about leverage, and utilizing technology correctly is one of the highest forms of leverage in modern times. However, when misapplied, you can waste tons of time and money. In today's episode and interview with my good friend Jordan Mederich, founder of DropFunnels, you will examine some of the best strategies to use technology to scale your company. All right, welcome back. And I'm here today with my friend and fellow entrepreneur, Jordan Mederich. Jordan is the founder of DropFunnels, one of the fastest growing marketing platforms online. He's garnered attention from top entrepreneurs and marketers online. And DropFunnels is really the world's first only tech-free platform to build websites, blogs, sales funnels, and SEO-powered blogs, courses, and more, built on the world's most powerful and fast infrastructure, WordPress. Jordan's just an amazing, passionate entrepreneur and father. He's disrupted the marketing industry. He's an award-winning filmmaker, and he's just an outstanding person as well. So, Jordan, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, man, and I appreciate you having me on.
And just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit, you have a family?
Yep, 3 boys, 6, 3, and 1. And if it were up to my wife, she'd have 18 more of them. And I'm not so convinced. So I'm happy at the moment. But yeah, a small or young family, and we have a lot of fun. They're my favorite distraction from work that exists. Is to go
so
play
good. And just occasionally, one of our recent calls and conversations, I learned that butt punching is the thing in the Mederich household. So
butt punching, yes, and it's more of a threat than anything. But we'll say if they're acting up, we just say, "Man, you're headed for a butt punch." What a weird thing.
Oh, love it. I'm so excited about the topic we're going to tackle today. I know that you're a genius in this realm, and it's honestly, I partly wanted to do this episode as an excuse to pick your brain on this topic because it's been heavy on my mind recently, really revolving around how to use technology to scale your company. As founder CEOs, I think there's a delicate dance here, right? Where for some CEOs, they are tech averse, right? They're used to kind of doing things manually, working through people, manual processes, and paper, right? Then you have CEOs like me and like our company was for many years, who bought every SaaS platform on the planet. I'm sure we helped boost the growth of that industry. But at the end of the day, we were duct taping together all of these tech solutions to try to accelerate our vision. And then I think there's this last category that I'm really in right now, where you have CEOs trying to navigate what proprietary technology do they need to build for their unique business? How do they budget for it and not go bankrupt in the software development process? And so I'm so excited to dig into this because, Jordan, I know you have not only successfully developed technology for, multiple of your companies that you own, but it's something that you provide, right? As one of your companies being a SaaS platform to entrepreneurs, helping them think about an integrative solution to, many of the challenges they face in their business using technology. So to start this conversation, I'd love, Jordan, if you could kind of frame up maybe most of all for the people who are in camp 1 and camp 3, the tech averse, the person who's trying to build the future. What do you believe the opportunity is for entrepreneurs when it comes to using technology to scale their company?
Yeah, I guess I would say from my perspective, I would really lump the first two into one category of being a consumer and the final one being a producer. Like you are crafting and innovating on your own to solve a specific problem that you're facing. So I think that there's way too much software out there. It's a very competitive space, especially for us where we're trying to innovate in what many would call kind of a red ocean market. It means like key differentiations are absolutely critical. And I think that parlays into whether you're developing or purchasing software. It's like the small hinges that swing the big doors, because so many platforms can do virtually the same thing, right? I mean, we built DropFunnels on a WordPress infrastructure, but we do all the hosting, all the tech, the plugins, updates, security, all of that. For other people, yeah, they can go to old school WordPress, install their own stuff and tinker and build some custom code for themselves and all those things. And so really often I find that the biggest differentiator between a platform that gets adopted versus one that doesn't, or one that you can build that can help to solve a problem for you, the most critical thing is about speed. Not necessarily like one of our biggest selling points is site or page load speed, where all of our pages load super, super quickly. So that helps with a lot of conversions. But I think in the general sense that focusing on both speed to market, but also speed of implementation is what separates
Mhm.
a lot of platforms. There are tools out there that, it can take you 10 minutes to get set up, and that's their big differentiator, is that you can get up and running today, right?
Mm.
Other platforms, and I'd say that we lump into this camp, is that there's a lot of things that you can do. So you're kind of figuring out where things are and how you can implement those various systems. So every day I'm thinking about, how do we get people to adopt the platform as soon as possible? And the best platforms on the planet, Facebook, is literally using us as a bunch of guinea pigs, like a bunch of mice in a kind of a maze, and testing things on us all the time to see, like, how do we get people to adopt and stay and be on the platform and give us their attention. So I think the speed aspect, as both a consumer but also a producer, is a pretty high of high importance.
That's so interesting that you use the word speed, because speed has been something I've been emphasizing with our team over and over and over recently. Both the market's perception of how fast we can deliver our product, right? As well as from a fulfillment standpoint, how fast and efficiently can we deliver the product and reduce labor costs in the process. And that's where a lot of our questions around technology are coming into play right now. Is when I think about the opportunity, as you just said, with technology, the reality is that I think a big opportunity is speed, right? You can speed things up. AI can do things at all hours of the day that just humans just can't do, right? Technology can follow processes religiously that might break down via human error. Peter Thiel has this amazing book called 0 to 1 that I'd recommend to anybody listening. And in it, he talks about the future is humans and computers working together. And I think that's such a good example. But one of the great opportunities, as you just put it so well, is speed. I also think about Amazon and some of the greatest companies on the planet. With their business models, they focus on speed and ease, making it fast and easy to do what they do. And technology absolutely can make it, if used correctly, faster and easier to deliver what you do and satisfy the people you serve.
Yeah, boy, it's loaded. It's a loaded topic, but it's critical, and I think is truly is the key differentiator
I
in many
think
cases.
I love that you just said it's a loaded topic, though, because I hear the hesitation. And that brings me to my next question beautifully, which is, what would you say, though, Jordan, is a commonly held belief about technology in business that you passionately disagree with?
There's a total underbelly to technology that is riddled with unethical, anti-integrous, both motivations and people,
Mm.
that is just right below the surface. And so for us, we found that there are a lot of technology platforms, because here's the concept, is that software, a lot of people don't want to pay for software, right? They're happy to pay for a human being to do a thing, but in many cases, software tends to be kind of like a low ticket recurring type of model. And people don't want to pay for that because it ends up being just a subscription that they have to pay for, even though it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for them. So what that means is that in many cases, it's a pricing race to the bottom. And so the companies that are hosting these, they have to find some way to drive additional revenue
Mm.
than just being price competitive, right? So you have to be price competitive in some way, or have some complete blue ocean feature that no one else has and is proprietary, and people can only go to you for that one thing, which is a unicorn situation. So if you have to be price competitive and you're looking to grow revenue, the only way to make more money is to increase the revenue you get from your current customers, or go get more customers. That's the only two options that you have. So unfortunately, what that means, and we've seen this happen, is that especially in the marketing space, there are platforms that will actually go into your account and take your customers, even pixel your customers' data, and sell to your customers when you are marketing to them.
Mm.
And for me, is so unethical and is probably illegal and probably isn't enforced or policed very far, because it's hard to confirm. But I've just seen this happen. I've seen, people who've been affected by this kind of stuff. It's just, I completely opposed to that. So for me, our only source of revenue, period, is when people buy from us or invest in us to buy a subscription. We never sell their data. We never
Mm.
promote other offers necessarily, like to our list, or sell our customer information at all. And we've just taken that firm stance, even though that means less revenue for us. It means that I can sleep better at night knowing that I've treated people well and I've respected those boundaries, right?
Mm.
But I think that that's the underbelly, right underneath the surface, is what happens not only to your data but your customers' data as they're coming through a particular platform. Like, where does that go? And frankly, some of these platforms charging like, $100, $300 or whatever, and people are sending millions and millions of hits in traffic to their own marketing infrastructures. There's no way that the company's profitable for that. They just aren't. They're definitely losing money on bandwidth and resources and support and tech and all of that. So they have to find some way to make that happen. And so there's two ways to do that. As the law of averages is that some people on those plans won't use that amount of resources, or, and unfortunately some brands will do this. They'll find some way to kind of leech value off of
Mm.
your customers' data, which is what I would say is the number one red herring. It's the number one thing in the space that I'd stand against.
Wow, that's huge. I've always wondered, to be honest, what the business economics of some of these SaaS platforms are, because it seems like the numbers don't add up sometimes when I just do back of the envelope math. So that's
They
actually
don't.
very insightful.
Yeah, they
Um,
don't. That's
that's
right.
very, very, very insightful and alarming, which is why data privacy, I think, is becoming such a big issue, probably mostly because of the discovery of that. So, that said, that's the scary side of tech. What would you say for a founder or CEO who's listening to this and going, I know that technology is a form of leverage for my business. I know that I want to develop technology in the future. What are some of the common mistakes that you would counsel them to avoid proactively when trying to use or develop technology to scale their company?
Yeah, I would again put these into two camps. So one is the consumption side and the other is a producer side. And I think your investment is radically different in both categories. Your perspective and intent is radically different. So as a consumer specifically, even though I have very much an incentive to not say this, I think it's important to get a complete view of what's available in the market, right?
Mm,
And to understand the key features, company cultures, levels of support. It's deeper than just the price point of a particular software.
mm,
And in many cases, the least possible expensive, like the least pricey option is not always the best, right? You're going to be sacrificing in another area. And also, the most expensive might not be the best option for you either. So, some platforms, and I guess I don't need to name names, but anyone can probably guess based through experience that there are some platforms that get so expensive, they'll get into the tens of thousands of dollars a month based kind of on your usage. And that, I guess that makes sense for those economies of scale. But you have to be aware of not only the initial, but also the ongoing price of operating within that ecosystem. So all SaaS founders are looking for a way to create an irresistible offer to get somebody into their ecosystem and to help them to adopt it, right? That's like the number one goal. And so for that, I think a consumer just needs to know it's not just even about the feature set. It's not just about the current pricing model or any of that. It's like, what's going to be down the line in 3, 6, or 12 months
mm,
from now? Like, are they innovating? Have they been releasing new features really often? Do they have great support? Let me put in a ticket before I even sign up to find out how quickly they respond. Those are some considerations. And to look back at the change log and say, like, have they iterated? Have they continued to build? Because then it's kind of like a marriage when it
mm,
comes to software. So I think it's important to just be aware of the options out there. When it comes to producing software, I think it's a completely different thing. It's a way bigger infrastructure. But just like for me, I was using WordPress and ClickFunnels and Kajabi and LearnDash and this and that and duct taping all these things together. And I was like, there has to be a way to just bring these all into one and get the technology benefits and the psychology benefits of sales funnels, and et cetera, and to build it into an area where a no code person like myself can go in and build anything that I want. And so I was effectively solving my own problem. And so I think for producers, the biggest thing to consider is that whether you're just developing an internal software to solve your own problem or not,
mm.
if you are solving your own problem, you're very likely solving thousands of other people's. And I think any software is wise to develop with an end customer in mind instead of,
Mm.
retroactively trying to go back, clean it up to make it possible for public sale.
That's huge because that ties in so well to something I've been chewing on recently, which is first of all, having a clear vision for where we are now, where our company needs to go, what the actual gap is, and then what obstacle technology is actually going to remove to
Mm,
help me get from here to there. And that will, as a consumer, help you choose better software platforms. We just went through this exact process where we streamlined down from having tons of duct tape software to having one or two key core integrated systems that everybody's operating off of. And the single source of truth, as I like to call it, has changed our business, where we have very clear data and dashboards in one cohesive place that we can measure and track as a business. That's kind of on the more on the consumer side. On the producer side, as we look at developing proprietary technology, I love what you just said, which is starting with an end customer in mind, because some of the things that I want to develop to help founder CEOs kind of match with their second in command and execute their vision more effectively, have the support they need in scaling harmoniously as a unit. As I look at that technology, I have a clear vision for how enterprise level customers in the future will need, I believe, that exact same function that we're building for our business, right? It's actually really, really interesting that you brought up that point. And so I think in some ways, if you're going to invest with a clear vision and a somewhat of a clear plan of how to profit in the future, because developing technology is expensive. You should go into it understanding that if you're going to develop it. So go into it not because it's cool or sexy or it's a cool buzzword or whatever. Go into it knowing what problems is it going to solve for you in the short term, and then is there long-term enterprise value and marketability of what you're going to build? Because as my hopefully the entrepreneurs in the back would say amen to, why not kill two birds with one stone? Why not sell it twice?
I think it definitely depends on goals, but I think even if you look at it through the lens of solving a problem for somebody else, you're going to actually improve the product for yourself at the same time.
So true.
Because I'm guilty of having built features that only I cared about. And I thought it'd be this big hoopla, rejoicing. I released this feature and everyone's like, oh, this is crazy cool. I love this. I'm making so much more money now. My life is easier. I'm happier. I'm sexier now. Right. And just didn't happen in that case, because I found out that it was very much just either egoism or just solving a specific problem for me, but it didn't for the market. So you have to be kind of aware of those things. Other ones, even someone might suggest to us kind of a feature that I'm like, well, that's not really a problem I'm facing right now, but hey, let's build it in anyway. We launch it and people go crazy. So I think it's a double-edged sword for sure to develop, not to be held to the demands of the market, but if your goal is to sell it to them, then it's as critical to listen to them as it is your own individual business goals.
So good. That ties back to what we were talking about earlier, as far as talking to your customers and the importance of that. Maybe we'll do another episode on that another time. As we start to come to a close here, Jordan, I would just say, could you give the people listening, somewhat from your own experience working with other founders, working with your clients at DropFunnels, and your own experience at DropFunnels, what are some of the simplest ways you found that founder CEOs can leverage technology to grow their company, to increase speed and ease? What would you say are a couple of the strategies or use cases for technology that come to mind for you?
Boy, I think, yeah, again, it's kind of loaded and so individual, based on where somebody's at. But, I think there's, as much as we want someone to stay with us for a long time and adopt it and use it for a long-term partnership, it actually behooves the consumer of someone who's buying or adopting new technology to ensure that you have an intent going into it. Like, do I need this right now, or do I need this long-term? A great example is like AI copywriting software. There's a bunch of them who jumped out. There's probably 300 different AI copywriting softwares that came out, and it was all based on OpenAI. It was based on Elon Musk's algorithm, right? Based on that project. And it was able to spit out realistic copywriting verbiage that can help you to get something generated in terms of written form for blog posts or whatever. And the problem when a new thing comes into the market like that, it's like, how often are you, if you're writing copy all the time and you need help with that all the time, great, get in there and make that happen. You got to, would it be better to actually just hire on a copywriter who can get done probably more efficiently, more quickly, and without the headaches of having to edit robot text, down into something that has intent and human voice? You just have to decide that ultimately for yourself. But I think technology is our friend. technology is here to make our life easier and better. And Moore's law is going to tell us that it's going to double in innovation every 2 years or so. So we'll probably have flying cars in the next 10 years. We'll probably all, be able to just click a button and a meal pops up in the microwave. I mean, who knows? But I can say, especially for us, like if I don't take the view of starting to plan out now for what technology is going to look like in the next 5 years, which I think a lot of it is going to be built on blockchain. I think a lot of technology is going to be Web3 and built on decentralized platforms and whatnot. So like we already enabled crypto payments, for example. So you can launch a sales funnel and collect crypto, throughout it. And the user adoption on that isn't here yet, but we're building for the future. So I think being future paced is a critical view, either as a consumer to say like, hey, I'm voting with my dollars for this company to go guide us in the right direction of being innovative. But if you're producing as well, I'd say, yeah, be aware and cognizant, but cautious about only solving a problem for right now and to kind of have that forward-looking mindset.
Yeah, super interesting. Thank you for that. I think one of the things that comes to mind as I was thinking about how do you use technology as a kind of founder and CEO to accelerate your company or to, people love to use the term scale, but essentially it's just, continuing to either drive revenue, reduce cost, and not have them correlate with each other or correspond with each other. Where a decrease in expenses doesn't decrease revenue or an increase in revenue doesn't increase expenses, right? I think there's a couple things that come to mind, right? So one of them is what you guys do so well, which is marketing automation. And if you're not on that train as a CEO, I just want to say like, wake up, because the future is here. Like the ability to be able to provide a highly responsive experience to leads is so critical, right? Speed to lead, the ability to easily present content to them that is fast and responsive online, the ability to get them to take action, the ability to be able to capture information and turn that into email sequences and nurturing and adaptive sales team follow-up and capturing that data so there's more seamless handoff between sales and operations. These are things that you need to be thinking about to improve your overall customer journey and get more out of your marketing and sales efforts. I think another thing that is just hugely underleveraged in a lot of entrepreneurial companies is automation, like process automation. There's a lot of really manual processes that if you were to evaluate, like how could we automate this process, you would almost for sure find a solution. And I would say in most cases, an easily adaptable and implementable automation. That doesn't mean that you have to replace all your people. It just means you're going to make their life and job easier and allow them to focus on the things that computers don't do well, which is thinking and problem solving in an abstract way versus a concrete and linear way.
Yeah. And as a footnote to that, I kind of have this general rule of thumb, and maybe it'll help anyone here, is that anything that you do more than 3 times a week that is not revenue producing needs to be automated, delegated, or eliminated, period. It needs to be off of your plate. So collecting payments needs to be automated. Marketing automation for notifications or, particular fulfillment processes can be done automated as well. And so if you can focus more of your energy on like the human connection and sales and focusing on solving problems for the customer, and let systems do what you're going to be doing consistently. Onboarding is another huge thing. People are manually onboarding to all these things where you could, as simple as putting it into Zapier and you push a button and suddenly this person's onboarded and has everything that they need throughout a process. That's pretty impactful stuff.
Very impactful.
Yeah, I think it's that rule of 3. If you do it more than 3 times a week, if you're going grocery shopping more than 3 times a week, even in your personal life, you need to get meal delivery just done for you. Set up your grocery checklist, have it shipped to you, or have it for Walmart pickup or whatever it is, right? But to get away from just repetitive manual tasks frees up every CEO.
So true. So true. Well, as a resource from our conversation today, I would invite any CEO listening to, again, get Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. Love him, hate him, love or hate the book. It will challenge your thinking on the entrepreneurial landscape of the future and how to think about using technology and humans and computers working together to actually build a better world. So, Jordan, how can listeners find out more about you online? We're about to do our lightning round in just a second, but before we do, if they wanted to find out more about you or DropFunnels and what you guys could do to help them automate and scale certain aspects of their marketing and sales, how would they find you?
Yep. So dropfunnels.com is a great place to kick off and find out if it's going to be a right tool for you. If anyone's got to this point, it's a pretty heavily filtered and high intent conversation. So anyone who wants to contact me directly, I'm Jordan at dropfunnels.com, Jordan. Email me with any questions if I can encourage you or point you in the right direction with resources, whether you use DropFunnels or not. I kind of believe in the Miracle on 34th Street type of ethos. So let me know how I can help you there and would be happy to point you in the right direction.
Love that. All right, now we're going to do our lightning round. So
Let's
hope you're
go.
ready. Here we go. What's the best dessert on the planet?
Triple chocolate mousse cake.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Good answer. On a day off from work, what are you doing?
Fishing.
Where?
There's a honey hole that not many people know. It's called Mud Lake out by my house, and there are some whoppers in there because no one really knows that it exists. So it's my little secret spot.
This is one of my favorite questions. What's something you do as an entrepreneur that drives your team crazy?
I change things all the time. They hate it. I'm just changing. I'm sure people can relate. If you're having to fulfill on a CEO's vision all the time and they're constantly changing new things or aspects or whatever, it'll drive them nuts. So I'm working on pulling back from changing things super often.
Jordan, thanks so much for being here. My last question to you, what are you most excited about in the years to come?
You know what? I think in the next coming years, because, COVID kind of threw me back into like a very non-connective state, not going to events, none of that stuff was happening, no connections to other people, and it's become very remote. I'm excited to intentionally build more in-person connections with people, live events, maybe even moving to another area with more entrepreneurial minded people. So over the next couple of years, I'm excited about technology innovation and how we can be part of that conversation. But ultimately, personally, I would say, interpersonal connectivity with other people is going to be huge for me.
Fantastic answer. Well, Jordan, again, thank you so much for being here on the show and sharing your incredible wisdom with our community.
My pleasure.
And there it is. I am so glad we got to dive into this incredible topic around using technology to scale your company today. Thank you for being a part of this community. And you know what? We want to do everything we can to continue to bring you great business building content. This is my gift to you as a fellow entrepreneur. And in return, I'd ask that you broadcast this message further to future listeners by rating the show wherever you consume it, and of course, sharing it on social media so others can benefit from the content that's impacting you as well. Talk soon.